Dr. Jennifer Gramith. We have got so much to talk to you about the cleanse, about always being healthy, and so on and so forth. But as you know, the algorithms are garbling us up. So text, tag, call, tell everybody, post, do whatever it is that you do to get people to know that it is time to take our health back with Dr. Jennifer Gramith, ND. So fasten your seatbelts because it's time to get in the moment.
And it's time to record.
And it's time to hit the record button. What do I know? Okay, it's time to fasten your seatbelt and get in the moment. And it's time to dance. Here we go. This is my Friday.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning into the classroom for the first time, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, as they say, a healthy person has 1,000 dreams, but a sick person has only one. And so today we're going to be talking to none other than one of my favorite, Dr. Jennifer Gramith, who is a lymphatic drainage specialist who trains people all over the world on that technique on keeping your lymphatic system clean and pristine. But she's more than that. She has taught us about our lymphatic system, our immune system. She has taught us about energy, frequency. She has taught us about EVOX and ZYTO. She has even helped guide us through our Love Your Body Liver and Gallbladder Cleanse just last week. And I'm just so thrilled because along the way, she has learned some great tools that she practices at Rightway Health and Wellness. And you can find her at rightwayhealthandwellness.com in Woodstock, Georgia. She does telemedicine, by the way. So if you love what you hear today and you want to buy into and align yourself, I guess that's the best, align yourself with what she is about, then you too will want to take lots of notes and reach out to Dr. Gramith, because today we're going to discuss how to always be healthy. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Jennifer Gramith is here to do just that. Welcome, Dr. Gramith, to the classroom.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. I love this show that I do every month now. And so I'm so blessed to be a part of this, and just meeting your audience has just been a blessing as well. It was so much fun last week watching the people ask all the questions about the gallbladder, liver flush, and getting excited about the detox. And it was great. It was a great experience. Got a great audience.
Yeah, well, you know what? You bring that out. You bring that out in people. You make it simple. You make people, you're very inviting. And I say that because I too, whenever I need to get like not a second opinion from myself. Like I sometimes know, we all know what's going on with our body. And so when I say a second opinion, that's what I mean. I come to you because my first is my intuition. Something's wrong, something's wrong. And you can either confirm it or you can say, suck it up, buttercup. So, which you never do. You're always very gentle. And so what I want you to share, what I loved about last week was how curious everybody was. When we started the cleanse, didn't I say we started off as strangers, and now we know way too much about each other not to be friends. We know enough about each other. So I am just excited that you led us through that, and it was very, very successful. And even for people that may have thought, my cleanse wasn't as successful as that other person's cleanse. You don't compare, ever compare, because everything was a success, because our body is constantly speaking to us. So what do you want us to know about our body and how our body does speak to us?
Right. And so, the liver gallbladder cleanse is a great place to start. Most of us need. Like we talked during the class, it was interesting because there was a lot of fear, a little bit of apprehension going into that, what's going to happen to me? How am I going to feel? But as, the days progressed, you just saw more and more confidence and people getting excited about, the flush part of it. And so you actually could, follow the text and the messages, and you can see shift in their emotional health. And so, letting go of the toxins in the liver are extremely important, because the liver has over 500 processes that it has to deal with every day. But seeing the removal of the anger and the resentment and the fear was just really remarkable. And it seemed like everybody ended up just very happy and at peace, which is a beautiful thing. So the liver flush is where I love clients typically to start, because if you don't open your detox pathways, it doesn't matter how much supplements we give you to kill off microbes or to try to, pull out heavy metals. If your detox pathways are blocked, it's like your bathtub being all blocked and you have all these faucets of toxins going in. You can turn those off, but if you still have running water with a clogged tub, you're going to have an overflow. Mm-hmm. And that's when we become very, very sick and symptomatic. And so by pulling the plug, which is what they did, they pulled their drain plugs, and now their body is primed and ready for the rest of the detox journey, which is what we're going to talk about today. Because if you never want to get sick again, you got to make sure that your immune system is functioning at its optimal levels and your lymphatic system is functioning. Those are the key to everything.
So lymphatic and your immune system. Right. So before I ask you my next question about, how are they different? Are they? I think of them as the same thing. I want to remind everybody, or let everybody know, that we are not going to have a teacher's pet corner today. Between Dr. Gramith and I, we just cannot do it. And so I want to encourage you to type in a Q while we're having conversations, and we will stop about 15 minutes before the class is supposed to be done. And I'll ask any of the questions that you have. So write your questions now, but make sure you type in a Q before you write in your question. Okay. So my question is, how is the immune system and lymphatic system this similar or different? And how do they work together?
Yeah, so they do absolutely work together. And that's why a lot of people think of the immune system, lymphatic system as the same system, but it is not. The lymphatic system is the structure. So it's just like the cardiovascular system. You have the heart and the arteries and the veins. The lymphatic system, you have the lymphoid organs and the vessels. And so the immune system is made up of your white blood cells, your T cells, your B cells, your macrophages, your lymphocytes, all of the army of defense. So the immune system is your army to battle these pathogens or these environmental toxins day in and day out. And they can do that very, very well if the lymphatic system is not congested. And so it's kind of like this. Have you ever seen this little breast model? This is how we train doctors to do breast exams. But the fluid in here is very thick and congested, right? In this is what happens to the lymphatic system. The fluid, because of stress, like inflammation, develops from the cortisol that's caused from just chronic mental emotional stress that's been unresolved. It can be from your hormones being out of balance, too much of the estrogens that you get from the plastics, and not enough of the progesterone, or just the imbalance in progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone. It can be from your thyroid, having so many heavy metals that it's just cranking out inflammation in the body. So within just minutes to days, your lymphatic system can become very thick and congested. And so it's very difficult for those white blood cells, the immune system, to travel through the lymphatic system when there's that much congestion. It's kind of like your soldiers, your Marines, fighting a battle in murky water, under the water, can't see, they're blinded. So they're trying not to kill one another, just the enemy, but sometimes that doesn't happen. They destroy themselves.
Correct.
That's autoimmune disease, right? But you can't, and all autoimmune diseases, Lillian, is an inflamed immune system, an inflamed lymphatic system. And that's why as we start to get rid of the inflammation, clean up the lymphatic system, the immune response goes back to normal. And that's very important for people to know who are out there struggling with autoimmune diseases. And you'll get a label like lupus or, different RA. It's where it's attacking in the body, but it's all due to a congested lymphatic system. And so to me, that's the number one cause of autoimmune disease is congested lymphatic system and an incapable immune system because of the congestion.
Interesting, because I think it was Dr. Robert Roundtree. I don't know if you know Dr. Robert Roundtree.
I've heard him.
Yeah, he said in a class that I took a couple 2-3 years ago, he said that people have the misconception that an autoimmune condition means that the body has turned against you, that the body has betrayed you. But he said, but in fact, the body is doing exactly what it needs to do. It's trying to eliminate the toxin that may be stuck in that organ.
Right.
Like, for example, if you have toxic metals in your thyroid, or if you have toxic metals in your endocrine system, I mean, not endocrine system, but in an organ, and the body is trying to get rid of it. And so that's what could appear as the body is attacking you. It's just trying to get rid of this. So what you're saying, what I'm hearing you say, is that we can do things that will help get rid of these toxics, toxic metals. And are you talking about chelation? Or are there other things that you can do as well?
Yeah, there's different things you can do. So there's two theories. There's the theory that the immune system, just like you said, is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And I do have to agree with that, because what happens is that these toxins initially, when you have exposures, they get stored in the adipose tissue, and then it gets stuck into the organs, glands, and then it's cellular, toxicity. So all the way into the cell, damaging the mitochondria. And that's why you see all these mitochondrial diseases. However, I think it's both. I think that your immune system typically will not damage self just to get to that. So it's distracted, it's confused because of all the congestion. But it wouldn't be fighting the pathogen or the heavy metal. That's what it's designed to do if it wasn't in the body. Correct. And so you're not going to have these issues if you have a functioning lymphatic system and a functioning immune system. And so it's all about the response time of the immune system too. So let's say, for instance, I get a cut on my leg, it gets infected. So what has to happen in your immune system, it's got to travel. Your B cells, which are your helper cells, has to travel to the injured area. And so typically what shows up is the B cells, and they tag whatever pathogen. So if it's a virus, they're going to send the troops of lymphocytes in to clean up the virus. If it's a bacteria, it's going to be the neutrophils to the battlegrounds to clean up to battle. But the B cells have to travel all the way there, notify them, come back to the thymus gland, and let your white blood cells know what they need to attack. And then it goes out. So there's a process, and that response time is where you get sick or not. And so if you have a quick immune response where the white blood cells are alerted and sent into action, and it flows very quickly in the body, then the battle is over before you ever have a symptom. But when you start becoming sick is when you know that immune response time has slowed down greatly, allowing that pathogen or environmental toxin to cause more damage to the area, to the tissue, to the cell, to the organ and gland that it's attacking. And that's where you get your diagnosis, is where it's attacking or where it lands. So if it's, Hashimoto's thyroiditis is probably one of the underdiagnosed autoimmune diseases I see every single day. I'm back when I worked in the medical field as a nurse, we had patients come in, classic symptoms of thyroid disease. 90% of them was dead on thyroid disease, but we couldn't treat them because their labs were in normal range.
Yeah.
And then 2 to 3 years later, then we could treat them because now it's in a very severe state, and that's very hard to treat. So again, that's the reason you want to know what your optimal levels are for those labs. And so, so I agree with you on that, but I think there's two sides, and both theories are absolutely correct.
I love it. I love it. It's like every time I do a class, and people think, I'm learning along with everybody. So we are learning and growing together. And so it's interesting to get every different research that people have done, preference that they have, their conclusions that they have made. And what I like to do is, what it resonates with me, when it makes sense, it makes sense. But the things that don't make sense, I like to research them. And,
Right.
When it comes to the immune and the lymphatic system, we take it for granted, just like we take for granted the liver. But we don't even think, at least with the liver, it makes an appearance when you have fatty liver disease or, oh my gosh, cirrhosis. People think about that. But when it comes to the lymphatic system and the immune system, I don't think there are many doctors that would even give it a second glance. What are the things that you do, Dr. Gramith, to hone in on, yes, this is immune, yes, this is lymphatic, or is it both all the time?
It's typically both. So if your immune system is not functioning properly, it's because the lymphatic system. So the first step, you always look for the cause, and that's where the cure lies. So if the cause is congested lymphatic system, why is it congested? Is it due to emotional stress? So you go there, you correct that, you see how the lymphatic system adjusts and how the immune system, and that can all be measured with digital body analysis like the ZYTO and the AO scanner to really look in depth at your lymphatic system, your cardiovascular system. And that's something people don't realize, is that, the immune system, lymphatic system go hand in hand, but that piggybacks your cardiovascular system. So the cardiovascular system is a closed system. The lymphatic system is attached to that, dumping all of that congestion and all that toxicity, if it's not being filtered out like it should be, into the cardiovascular system via the vena cava, directly into the heart, which causes what? Heart disease and heart damage. And so everything's connected, as you see, when your endocrine system and your hormones are all messed up, which because of the environmental toxin load that we have, all of, the plastic containers that we use and drink out of, which has the xenoestrogens, all of the glyphosate, the pesticides that we are exposed to. It's going to overwhelm our immune system because it causes so much congestion in the lymphatic system, and the immune system can't respond. So the first thing that a person needs to know is my immune system overactive or is it underactive? Because what initially happens first is it becomes overactive. And so that's everything with the itis, rheumatoid arthritis, all of the fibromyalgia, all of the inflammatory issues that you have. That is typically signs of the autoimmune, and that's when it's overactive. But it will do that for only so long. And then you start dealing with the disease, the chronic disease that I see every day, the heart disease, the cancer, the diabetes. That's when your immune system gives up, says it's too much, I can't carry the load anymore. And so it just kind of goes down. And then your immune system's not reacting when you have these exposures to these pathogens. And that's where we are today, and especially in the US, because our immune systems are so overwhelmed and depressed. They're not responding to these viruses or pathogens like they should, and they just overtake our body. And so the key to correct that is clean up the lymphatic system. If you never want to get sick again, you got to know where your lymphatic system and your immune system lies. Okay. So like I said, you can do the digital body analysis, just standardized labs, CBC, CMP, hemoglobin A1C. These types of tests are essential in knowing where your health picture is right today to now. You can't let it continue to go down with all these symptoms and just ignore them and think that you're not going to develop autoimmune or a chronic disease or both. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's an epidemic. It's really extremely high with women. There's autoimmune disease is one of the top 10 causes of death in women under the age of 65.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and it's the second highest causes of chronic illness and the top cause of morbidity in women. So I think it's higher in women, Lillian, because of the toxic load, the extra toxic load that we put on our body with our hair color and our makeups and our lotions. And, men are very simple. They wash their hair and their body probably with the same soap. They don't use all these things. Women are known to put, about 200 different known carcinogens and endocrine disruptors on their body a day. And that's extra, compared to the exposures that we all have in the environment, the pesticides in our foods and things like that. So that's why I think personally, that's my opinion. But, I have been in this field, Lillian, for 25 years. And to my knowledge, there's been very little research on looking for the causes of all these autoimmune diseases. What happens is you go to the doctor, you have all these symptoms. Oh, you have RA, you have this, they'll give you a diagnosis. And then you say, well, what caused that? I don't know. We don't know, but take this medication to suppress your immune system, And so it just doesn't make sense. But lately, in the last decade, there's been more research. And in 2020, if you go to the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, you'll see several articles published on autoimmune diseases, and they're linked to the environment. So they did find that solvent exposures, which is in a lot of paint thinners and cleaning products, that is linked to systemic sclerosis. Okay, so they found a direct link there. The silica exposures, which is like in quartz and granite. So if you're working with those, it's linked to multiple autoimmune diseases. Oh. And then, of course, the glyphosate, the pesticides, according to the Agricultural Chemical Association, it causes RA. Now, we already know it causes heart disease and cancer, but it also causes rheumatoid arthritis. And so they're now looking deeper into the causes of all this autoimmune disease, because 50 million Americans are suffering from it every year. And so so I'm happy about that. I'm happy that, they're not just sticking with that. I don't know. We'll just do the best we can. Let's throw the kitchen sink at it. Because you can never find the cure if you don't know the cause. So we need to know the cause. And that's what these scans and these labs will tell us. What is your body burden? Is it heavy metals? Is it a combination of heavy metals and microbes or other pesticides? And it's typically always a combination. But when we test you, we can see what order of detox you can tolerate. And so, that's why I say always start with opening up the liver and the gallbladder and the detox pathways, which is the lymphatic system. Okay. And then the next step is work. If you have heavy metal toxicity, start to detox those metals, because you can't reach certain microbes if you have high levels of metals in your body. And in mainstream medicine, it's so funny because we are trained on what to do if you come in and you have lead poisoning, which would cause brain swelling and nausea and vomiting.
Yeah.
We will treat you for that lead poisoning instantly in the ER. Or mercury toxicity, same things. It can cause severe brain swelling and severe symptoms. But we act like, okay, you can have this lethal dose exposures, but there's no chronic. And that's what leads to all the chronic disease, the cancer, the kidney disease, the heart disease. And each metal has been studied and shown that the small accumulation of these toxins over a period of time actually caused all these chronic diseases. But yet you go to the doctor and you think, I may have heavy metal toxicity. And they're like, no, you don't have that. It's so funny to me. It just cracks me up.
Well, it doesn't pay to find the root cause. It just doesn't pay. Mm-hmm. I mean, as a doctor, I want to commend you for that your goal is to not have patients someday, to be able to retire knowing that everybody got well because they came to you or because they adopted a new lifestyle. But it's amazing how, and I'm going to tell you a true story.
Yeah.
This is when I first started my journey about learning about vitamin C. And that was in probably 2008. 2007. Let's see, I started it was 2012, 2013, because that's when 2013, I think that's when I interviewed, 2012, I interviewed Dr. Andrew Saul, and he had told me about I could get off all my medications for asthma, by using vitamin C. So I was sitting down and then I started looking and diving into it. We looked at how it could help with cancer, how it helps with, fevers and allergies and all these things. And I was just like, mine was glowing 1,000 times faster. And so I sat down, Robert and I were having lunch with a couple, and she was very connected to a very popular cancer clinic. And so I had mentioned that you can do IVs and that it is, helpful for the body and it doesn't kill the cells. And her husband said, that's our bread and butter. Let's not mess with it.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's scary, isn't it?
That's our bread. And we have to understand that many of these people that are advising us, and I call it the white coat trance, and many of the people that are advising us of what to do, like that gallbladder surgery that they wanted me to have, they make money when they do the gallbladder surgery. They make zero money when I did the cleanse.
Right. It's a business, most definitely. And so, that's the problem, is they're not looking for the cures, because the cure is very simple and not always easy, but simple. But that would, that there would be no need for them. And, most doctors nurses going into the field, that's not why they become doctors and nurses. But unfortunately, the way that our medical society is set up, it's run by the pharmaceutical, and it's controlled by the pharmaceutical. And so if you don't play the game of writing those prescription drugs like they want you to, then you're not in the game. And so it's very, very difficult because they, in their mind, they got to support their family and their lifestyle just like anybody else. And so it's tough. It's tough. And typically functional practitioners like myself, we have our own story, of how we got out of mainstream medicine. And I am so grateful, Lillian, for my training and what I learned. But I have learned so much more working on the functional side of truly understanding how the body works cohesively together. Yes. And so, when you're trained in medicine, you usually have a specialty. And so, all about, if you're a neurologist, all about the brain and how it works, but nothing about the gut health. And they're connected greatly.
Yes. Yes.
And so I told you before my experience with my sister who had brain injury, a medical brain injury, and she was having lots of sensations back in her gut. Well, we had put her on things that would stimulate her nerves to come back on. So she had right side paralysis. Mm-hmm. And so all of a sudden she started feeling on her arm and legs, which was great, but she also could feel her gut, and it was strange to her. And so took her to a gastroenterologist to see what type of test, if anything was going on. She went to see the neurologist that day first, and I actually went to that appointment with her, and the neurologist was thrilled of, that she was getting movement and sensation back. We go to the gastroenterologist after that, and she's like, let's give her a nerve blocker. Well,
what?
And I said, wait a minute, because she said, I can't really find anything wrong with you, but we can just block it with a nerve blocker. And I just, I had to just calm down and say, does that really make sense when she's on a protocol that will help to increase the sensitivity in her nerves so she can get her feeling back and movement back? Do you think it's wise to block her nerves? She said, oh, that makes sense. Probably shouldn't do that then.
Oh my goodness.
So it's like, because they're disconnected. So the gastroenterologist knew nothing about the brain, and the neurologist knew nothing about the gut. When my sister questioned her, do you think this could be causing my gut? Oh, I don't know. You'll have to see the gastroenterologist. It just so totally disconnected.
Oh my gosh. But isn't that common knowledge now with doctors like Dr. Perlmutter and other doctors that are talking about the brain gut connection? Dr. M, the one that wrote the brain gut connection book. It's very known in functional medicine, but in allopathic medicine, it's like they got their blinders on. It's like, that's not my specialty. I can't even go there. Yeah, it's practicing outside my scope, That's a good point.
And so it's like we're dealing with a bunch of doctors on the spectrum. They don't know how to connect things. Everything's just, segmented, and they're just totally disconnected from the orchestration or the orchestra of the body and how it all works together in harmony. And when something is messed up or out of balance, you don't pluck it out, you bring it back into balance if possible.
It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So earlier, there were a couple things that I wanted to address. You were talking about the toxins. We just recently did a class on, toxins in our everyday household, right. And what I learned is that toilet paper, napkins, paper towels, paper plates, all have BPA, BPS, all of them. So what are we doing? We're wiping our bottoms, we're blowing our noses, we're
eating off of them. Yeah.
We're eating off of them. So no wonder we have all this plastic, all this toxicity. And the second one that I wanted to say is, what happens when you suppress the immune system? What is the side effect of suppressing the immune system? Why suppress it?
Mm-hmm. So they're suppressing, so they don't think about it. So they say your immune system's overactive, let's make it underactive. Okay, so let's suppress it when it's overactive and make it not as active
instead
of finding the cause of what has caused it to become overactive and removing the cause. Because what happens, they're just swapping one disease process, autoimmune, for a chronic disease.
exactly.
Well, it's ridiculous. I don't know if you knew this, but half of the Americans will have at least one chronic disease in their lifetime, and a high percentage of them, like a fourth of them, will have two or more. And so it's a huge, this is the chronic disease. The numbers are even higher with autoimmune, and they're skyrocketing every day. We're seeing more and more autoimmune diseases. And so, yeah, it's a huge problem, and we really do need to pay attention. And women, in especially, not that men are off the hook, but we are so much more toxic. And then our children are becoming so much more toxic because we are toxic. And so women are 7 times more likely to develop many autoimmune diseases, especially like thyroiditis and things like that. So it's a serious, it's a serious pandemic. This is the real pandemic right here, the chronic disease and the autoimmune disease.
And nobody's making a big deal about that. If people just understood the consequences of getting a virus that is 99.98 non-threatening, especially if you're healthy, it's like, get healthy. This is a wake-up call to get healthy versus something that is going to happen to you. And people are injecting these things. People are injecting glyphosites when they have these shots that are in there. Some of these ingredients that they're injecting into their body, and I don't want to use the word because they have glyphosates in there. They have mercury in them. They have those things. So read the label. Even in those shots, you've got to read the label. And so before I tell you a little bit more about the classroom and what we're about, I want to remind you that today there is not going to be once you hear the disclaimer, we're out, because we're not going to have a teacher's pet corner. So if you have any questions for Dr. Gramith, please write them in your comment section, whether you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Facebook. Now, if you are embarrassed because you don't want people to know your name or you don't want people to know your question, you can text me at 407-373-5959 and I will ask your question. But before we do that, and before we shift gears, because now I want to look at the solution and maybe have Dr. Gramith answer some of your questions, I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com and subscribe, because if you're a subscriber, you have all of Dr. Gramith's information, because once a week you get all the information, all the teachers that are going to be in the classroom, all the links to their website, all their links to any products that they have, or whatever it is that you need, whatever we're going to be talking about. And so please subscribe, because when you do that, you're able to communicate with me even more on a weekly basis. You know what's happening in the classroom. While you're there, please like and follow, subscribe to all my channels, my social media channels. And when I say that about me, I'm also saying that about Dr. Gramith too. So I want to encourage you to check out Dr. Gramith, because if you go to my sponsors page, you'll have her picture there. Click on there and it'll take you to her site, her website. And it's Rightway Health and Wellness. So check her out the way and support her the way that she is supporting the classroom, as well as the pharmacy in Merritt Island. Just mention my name and you'll get 20% off your first order. And just know that when you shop with Dr. Gramith at Rightway Health and Wellness, she has a 20% discount for the first time listeners. You let them know, or the first time that you're going to the site. And I believe that that's what it is. Just tell her that you are a follower of the classroom and that you know that she has a discount for those of you who are watching today, which is your first time learning about Dr. Gramith. I don't know if that's ongoing, but she can tell us a little bit more about that. But also, I want to encourage you to go to my affiliate, my shop bag, because it also has makeup, beauty products, organic beauty products from head to toe, just like Dr. Gramith. Dr. Gramith's product is Lily Rose Botanicals, all organic. And then Keep Me Safe Organics. They're made by the same, but hers is a higher level than the Keep Me Safe Organic. So if you're interested, check out. I don't even know if she has it on her website, but you can certainly call them. But Keep Me Safe Organics, you can click on that and you get 10% off, Lily 10, when you enter that. But there's also for your body, for your assurance, for your health. There's so many different ways, and it helps out the classroom when you purchase from whenyouneedafriend.com. And finally, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom. And so how do you do that? You can donate. If you're looking for a place to tithe, if you're looking for a place to donate to, please consider the classroom. As the censorship has been increased, it's become costlier and costlier. It's unbelievable, the cost to have a class that you get to watch for free. So just like PBS, if you could please donate, I would certainly appreciate it. It will help grow the classroom as well. I want to encourage you to all, when you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, you can click on to Dr. Jennifer Gramith, Rightway Health and Wellness, or you can go to Rightway Health and Wellness.com and check out her website. You can also call 404-474-2100 if you're interested in telemedicine. She has a team of experts that will work with you as well. Is there anything you'd like to add, Dr. Gramith, about that?
Nope, I think you covered it all.
Well, it is just unbelievable that we don't know what we don't know, and neither do the doctors.
Right.
Neither do the doctors.
I liked what you said earlier, is like, it's not about me. I mean, because any client that I've ever seen over the 25 years, it wasn't about me directing them or telling them what to do. It was really about us partnering up and working together. Working together and trying to, I'm the piece that can help figure out the missing links of the puzzle.
That's right.
Your body more than anybody else, and you cannot discount your own intuition. And that's what happens so often, is people start to question themselves and question, am I even sane? Is it all in my head, like my husband says, or is it legit? And I hear that a lot with Lyme patients. Yeah. And so, listen to your body, and, everything that appears, every pain and inflammation, it has a story. There's something behind that. It's not just in your head, or it's just by accident, or it's just getting older, or that's hogwash, is what we say in Trenton, Georgia.
Well, even pain has a message for us, right?
Pain is one of the best messages for us. And that is why, God really gets our attention. And so you love your pain, because your pain is telling you that something's not quite right. But I encourage you to not just get so focused in on the pain, but what caused the pain in the first place. And many times, Lillian, it's emotional trauma. And so you have these physical symptoms because we've not addressed all of the emotional trauma that we've experienced or even inherited, these genetic emotions and traumas that we're not even consciously aware of. So don't be afraid to dive down deep and really start getting to know yourself, know what you're thinking, know what you're feeling, and value that. And don't go to anyone who discounts your knowledge about your body. Doctors and nurses, they're just there to help you to figure out what the problem is and then how to, best correct it. But you go with your intuition. God has put that in each one of us. We know what's right and wrong for us. And, you have to have confidence in whatever you're doing, or it does not work well. And so that's the power of the mind. If you don't believe it, read Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. Study Annie Hoffer's work, Caroline Leaf. They're all fascinating. And I studied those because it has a direct connection with the function of your immune system and how your white blood cells respond due to whatever you're thinking. So you can shut your army of defense down with negative, thought patterns, just like that. And you can turn it on just like that for the same. So Dr. Emmett Miller, he's a neuroimmunologist. I encourage any of you who are interested in the neuroscience of the brain and the emotional component of the body to really check him out, because he talks about a lot of that. And he actually has videos of the immune system, like a cartoon video of how to understand how it works and how your thoughts direct it and affect it. And they've researched this for decades. So.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. Many of us have given up that aspect of us. That's why I said, you're my second opinion, because God gave us, I love how you say God gave us our intuition to know. And we need to be okay with, the pain, the, whatever it is happening in our body. So I want to add that the cleanse that we did this last week, we recorded everything. So if you want to be able to do this, and this was as of many requests that we had, many requests, I'd like to do the cleanse, but I can't do it now. I'd like to do it in January. I'd like to do it in December. I'd like to do it, we had people from Ireland and England that the time slot didn't work. So they wanted so I decided to record everything, and everybody that attended the workshop, they were so generous to share what they were going through, and it's all there for you. So go to whenyouneedafriend.com, check it out. You'll see Dr. Gramith and her guiding us. And we also have one more. We're going to get together for a reunion. We're going to get together for a reunion, right, Dr. Gramith?
That's right. That's right.
We had so much fun. It was fun. And at the same time, everybody had their own kind of like energy that they were bringing to the table. So let's talk now that we've cleansed, for the people that have gone through the cleanse, the liver, the Love Your Body cleanse for the liver and the gallbladder. What are some of the things that they can do to continue that you can provide for them at Rightway Health and Wellness?
Right. So, one of the things that I have learned over the years of being in this business is that there's a lot of commonalities in why people's health are breaking down. And so one thing we've already talked about is the impact on the liver. And like I said, the liver has over 500 processes that has to deal with. So you can just imagine how quickly it can become overwhelmed. And then what happens is that your kidneys try to pick up the slack that the liver just can't handle, okay, because there's all these safety mechanisms God put in our body. So the kidneys start to try to pick it up, and then you start having some kidney issues, maybe some UTIs, maybe pain in your back, maybe developing kidney stones. And then the kidneys are like, hey, this is too much for me. So then a person starts to develop issues with their skin, eczema, hives, allergies, things like that. You become very, very sensitive. So what should you do? Should you put some topical cream on that skin? No, because that's not the problem. Should you give some kidney support? Maybe. But really what you need to do is you need to go back to the liver and start with the liver and supporting the liver. And it's miraculously how the kidney starts functioning, the skin issues clear up.
You mentioned that at the cleanse, and that was just, oh my gosh, that amazing information.
So that you've got to think like that in that pattern. And my team of practitioners are trained very extensively in that thought process of how that works. So what we typically do is make sure the first, few weeks is really making sure that your detox pathways are open. So the liver, the gallbladder, the kidneys, the lymph system, the lymph nodes, all of that, they're all open and flowing at its optimal levels. Next step would be to determine if you have a heavy metal toxicity. And I guarantee you 99.9% of us have a significant amount of heavy metals. And, I always get the question, well, where do we get those from? I eat organic. Well, you get it from everywhere. Just like you said, any injection you've ever gotten has a heavy metal in it. You're getting it back in the 70s when we would do the eye drops, the saline, mercury. It's like
unbelievable.
It's in so many things that you're going to have exposures to that. So you can about count on the fact that you're going to have heavy metals, the amalgams in the mouth, all of that plays a role and builds up over time and causes dysfunction, not only in the endocrine system, but all systems of the body. Mm. And so next step, because typically if you have some serious microbes, Lyme disease, things like that, Morgellons, just any kind of bacterial infection, most times you can't reach it, you can't destroy it until you get rid of the heavy metals. The heavy metals are like a wall that's protecting the bacteria and not allowing you to get to it. So the first thing is you got to bring down those walls, get those out of the way. And so the second phase of detox is going to really be on removal of heavy metals and industrial chemicals from the body. And then the third step is going to be on getting rid of the microbials. I use things like I developed Dr. Jen's Immunoblend, which is a great blend that covers parasites, bacteria, and viral loads. As far as the heavy metal detox, I really like I use different things. And typically what we do, Lillian, in our clinic is I test you to see what are your loads, what metals do you have? And, that determines what type of chelator I use. But a very common one is a liposomal EDTA. Mm-hmm. But you have to remember, anytime you do chelation with like EDTA or anything like that, you have to have a binder. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of damage as you pull these out of the cells, organs, and glands, and it has to be filtered out through that liver. It's going to cause some stress on the liver and kidneys if you don't have a binder. And so I like Charcoal. The Quicksilver has a great activated charcoal called the Ultra Binder. You can use other types of clays. Zeolite products are great, but you have to have a binder. So that's a good heavy metal detox. And you'll do that for 2 to 4 months, depending on how much your burden is. And then the microbes would be either something like Dr. Jen's Immunoblend or olive leaf or all of the antimicrobials.
So when you're talking about, you need to take both the EDTA and the binder at the same time. Do you also add the Immunoblend at the same time or no? Okay.
No, it's
so that comes after 2 months.
It's better to do. Yeah, this would be more of a 5 to 8 month program that you would want to do.
And it's gentle and slow.
It's gentle and slow, and it's very effective. And it can, it will decrease the amount of supplementation you would test for if you didn't open up these pathways, because when your liver's not functioning, you're not absorbing. So you're going to be deficient in everything. So you're going to be popping all kinds of minerals and multivitamins and, vitamin E, vitamin A, vitamin D. And so, but if you have functioning organs, then you absorb what you're ingesting and you get a lot from your food. So it requires much less, and people are way more successful and a lot healthier.
I think I'm going to try that because I'm prime. I am prime. Okay. So we do have, and you can get these products with you at Rightway Health and Wellness. Can they get it at the website or do they have to call into the office?
They'll be able to get at the website shortly, but right now just call the office. And because later we'll give a code for your clients so that they can put in there to get a discount on the product. So with your discount now, and that discount includes your first order, calling into the office. So if you get tested, it would include 20% off the testing and the products for your first time
Nice.
customers. Yeah.
First time order. That's awesome. Okay. We have a question here and I want to make sure I honor the question. It says, hello, I have a question. It's from Magdalena. I did to my son and myself forced food intolerant. Okay. They tested. Okay. For food intolerances. It shows we both have allergy to most of foods. I was eat last year's quite good. Okay.
I think I know what she's,
But a lot of good quality sugar. So I don't understand why I have some problems. Let me see. My son, 12 years old, eats mostly organic foods from the beginning with limited sugars because he does not like it. So I just wondering where okay, so
I get it.
Yeah. Okay, good.
So, this is a problem I see every day. And this is because of the amount. So the child has a lot of allergies and sensitivities because the parents were extremely toxic and that's passed down. And so there's studies that back that up with, the umbilical cord blood of children having hundreds of known carcinogens and toxins. And you have allergies because your immune system is, at whatever level it is. Maybe it's functioning at 50% or 70%, depending on just genetically what you inherited, what you've been exposed to in the past. But when you develop allergies, it's when that toxic burden builds and builds and builds and builds, and it's above what the immune system can tolerate. So you have this inflammatory reaction and you become sensitive to your environment. You become sensitive to all foods. I had a case like this and she had been struggling for years. And she couldn't take supplements because she was sensitive to all the supplements. And so she was really scared about trying to do this detox program with me. And I kept having to, assure her that I have seen this. I've dealt with multiple chemical sensitivity. I've dealt with dairy allergy, peanut allergy, anaphylactic, shock from it, and has been able to reverse that. And so I got a sweet message from her about a week ago. And she said, I can't believe, I'm taking my protocol. I'm doing great. I'm able to eat more and more foods every single day. And so the key is the reason this person is reacting is because her lymphatic system is so congested and her immune system is, again, so distracted by all the inflammation. It's just hitting everything. And so it doesn't matter if it's healthy. Her brain takes everything into the body as a threat because it doesn't know how she's going to respond. She's responded in the past with
body's doing what it needs to do, right?
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, I'm just going to be safe and I'm going to make you react to everything. You got to shut that process off. And that's partly brain retraining, but it's opening up your detox pathways, getting rid of the toxic burdens that you have. And this type of person would be someone I definitely would want to test because I want to see the whole picture of what's going on. I want to look at her genetics. I want to look at, the imbalances in the organs and glands, check out her nervous system. A lot of people are in this fight or flight and they don't even know it. It's just become a way of life for them. Yeah. And that keeps them extremely sensitive too. So,
well, I tell you what, it would be great for you to, Magdalena, it would be great for you to contact Dr. Gramith at 404-474-2100. Do you suggest that people go and do the cleanse before, because you've got it, it's guided, we've got it, it's guided before they start doing the detox? So
ideally, because I'm going to tell them to do it anyway.
So go to whenyouneedafriend.com.
And then just skip that step and go to the next step. Yeah,
that's right. And then you can contact Dr. Gramith and start working towards that health, that optimal health, so that you can always be healthy never get sick, right? Always be
That's right.
healthy. I always think of the positive, like the way that I want to be thinking. So it's the number is 404-474-2100. Dr. Gramith, this is incredible information. As always, I want to do the metals because with all the medications that I've been on for asthma and all the steroids for asthma, and now I take vitamin C and Lobelia. I mean, that's what I do for, and my nebulizer with hydrogen peroxide. So, so many different ways that we can minimize the toxic load with all these medications. So thank you so much for this very powerful information, Dr. Gramith. And so the address again, the website again is Rightway Health and Wellness, 404-474-2100. And as always, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Dr. Jennifer Gramith wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. Good job. Great job.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you soon. Enjoy your Thanksgiving break and celebrate by eating really, really healthy food. So we'll see you soon.